Alright, so I have a slightly stressed dog in the passenger seat, as you can hear. We are headed to the VET at the moment, but I did want to make a video on undertaking the objective of introducing a dog to a guest in the home. And this might even be just introducing the dog to the idea of a guest or a visitor, or their presence. With no real intention of permitting the dog to close what's referred to as the critical distance, where they can reach the person, or the person to be within what we refer to as the bite zone. So this, if the dog's on leash, a 6-foot leash, then 8 feet is what I'm going to consider to be the bite zone. In case the dog lunges, I want to anticipate the possibility that dog may lunge and add 2 feet to that bite zone. Sorry, there was a cop right there, and it's just a natural response, And then if the dog is off leash, then potentially that person can be in the bite zone like at any given moment, because the dog's able to just close that critical distance at any time. So one of the first things you want to do, because this is assuming that your dog is uncomfortable with guests in your home in general, you want to assess whether your dog evades or pursues your guests. And if you probably already have this information, basically. I'm not suggesting just leave them off leash and see what happens. But if you have data, then if you know your dog is evasive and your dog has no intention of reaching your guest, then it should be relatively safe to leave your dog off leash in this instance. Not a given, but it might be better for and more conducive to a more productive session or visit if you allow them to be off leash. But it just kind of depends on the behaviors you're seeing. But if your dog has not demonstrated that they wish to decrease distance and they're uncomfortable, then you can probably leave them off leash. If your dog does decrease distance and your dog pursues guests, no matter what that looks like, then you're going to want to have them on leash. And so invariably when people invite me over to their home to look at or work on this behavior, they answer the door with their dog, who they've told me exhibits reactivity towards guests. And that's just setting up the dog for failure right away. That's just a recipe for disaster. If you're going to arrange a guest to come over, and you are trying to work on conditioning your dog to guests in the home, then if you're the only person there and you're going to be the one that answers the door, then why don't you just leave the door unlocked, arrange a specific time that your guest is going to arrive and enter, and have your guests enter the home on their own, and you have your dog on leash. Or you can use what's known as a fixed point system, where you affix your dog to a piece of weight-bearing furniture that's not going to drag across the floor or topple over on them. So usually what you would do is you would put the handle of the leash, you would put a leg of a piece of furniture through the handle of the leg, or you would take the leash and adhere it to itself around a leg or a base or something like that, potentially using a carabiner or clips or something like that, or sending the clip of the leash through the handle of the leash around the leg, whatever you got to do. And of course, when you do this, I would not I advise you to not attach the leash to their neck, to their collar. You're going to want to attach the leash to a harness here in case they are, if we're talking about pursuing, they're going to be pulling, and so you don't want them to be applying all that pressure and tension on the airway when they're doing that. you can also consider doing this for just dogs that jump while you work on floor on the floor behavior, and while you maybe like work on a place behavior or settle on that behavior, we can consider using a fixed point system. So those are some ideas right now. I'm about to turn into our destination here, but there is a protocol called Treat Retreat, which is good for probably both dogs, but more so the evasive dog here. Protocol is going to look really similar, no matter who we're talking about, except for the dog who pursues is going to be on leash when you work it. That fixed point system setup should probably just be for the initial arrival, and then you're going to need to undo it, and then thereon in handle them on leash and add distance and decrease distance and add distance while you're working this protocol. But engage, well, you're going to use engage, disengage as well. But Treat Retreat was developed by Susan Clothier. It's where the dog will get closer and they receive a reinforcer, and then they're given space. They're encouraged to get space, or you engineer them giving themselves space away from the stimulus, and basically they get a treat for that, they get a food reinforcer for that, and then they also get the space. They're allowed to give space away from the potentially scary thing, and that kind of functions as a double reward. Engage, disengage is exactly what it sounds like. The dog looks at something and the dog looks away from that thing, and you're going to be rewarding for both of those. If we're having a dog that is exhibiting reactivity towards a guest, you're going to probably need to keep moving, and you want to make sure that you're not reprimanding your dog for any reactivity, for barking. And another point would be, as I have a brain fart here at the very end of the video, non-contingent reinforcement. There's something called non-contingent reinforcement, where your dog, no matter what they're doing, they get reinforced. So sometimes I have to do this to break the ice when I arrive at a house. So like, even if the dog is barking at me, I'm still the dog is still getting food reinforcers, because we're just trying to draw a straight line between me and good, and then we want to start being a little bit more targeted about it, a little more precise. When the dog is not reacting, that's when they need to be getting reinforced. But sometimes you have to just start with the NCR to grease the wheels, basically. So that's going to be my thoughts on that, because we're here and we got to go. And thanks for sticking with it, as usual, if you did so.